Hello, and welcome to the very first episode of Spooky Sundays. To all my poacher guys and gals out there, may this be an amazing adventure that we take all through the month of October. Every Sunday, find me right here with another spine-tingling tale. This one is from Reddit user Collective 1985. In the shadowy depths of a bygone era, where the swampy embrace of Texas and Louisiana intertwine, there lie an island shrouded in the gloom of ancient cypress trees and the whispers of the restless dead. There lie the infamous Howland Island, a place where the very earth held its breath and the moon cast a pallid light upon the waters that surrounded it. Here, in a time lost to the annals of history, the Glatcher family once reigned as lords of the land, a lineage of proud and esteemed landowners, whose lineage was as unblemished as the gleaming swords and powerful muskets of their ancestral lineage. It was peculiar and a solitary breed, a northern European family who were wealthy and decided to try their luck by living in the bayous for generations that placed the sanctity of their bloodline above all else, interacting with Cajuns, Spaniards, Creoles, and Native Americans. Their seclusion from the ever-changing tides of the world outside had led them to embrace a disturbing tradition of intermarriage, a secret so dark it was seldom spoken of. Even in the faintest whispers, isolation grew into a twisted obsession, a cocoon of madness that spun their hearts and minds into a tangled web of deformity and depravity. The 19th century had brought with it a tumult of change and despair, and it was during this era that the very fabric of the Glatcher family and their existence began to unravel during one fateful evening. The full moon painted the swamp in a ghastly pallor. The earth beneath their majestic mansion trembled with a hunger that could only be satiated by the sins of the damned. A roar that could be heard for miles. The ground split asunder, swallowing the opulent manor and its inhabitants into the abysmal maw of the bayou. But the Glatchers would not succumb so easily to the cold embrace of the earth, and they emerged from the murky waters, transformed by their ordeal into beings of pure terror, as their skin had taken on the sickly hue of the swamp, their eyes gleaming with the feral cunning of the creatures that dwelt in its depths, and the very essence of their humanity had been stripped away, leaving only a ravenous craving that can never be satisfied. With the tenacity of the damned, they constructed a new abode from the wreckage of their former lives, a floating edifice of decayed wood and sunken earth, bound together by the very bones of the graveyards that were found on the island, including the corpses. They rebuilt their mansion with the foundation being anything they could find, from the mud, clay, stone, and wood, once again becoming a beacon of terror, a testament to their refusal to be forgotten by the world that had abandoned them. As the years grew into decades, the Glatcher family plunged into madness, deepened as they were off from the sustenance that fed them, and when farming failed and the land no longer provided, they turned to the darkest of human practices. Cannibalism, as each moon brought forth a new round of horrors. As they stalked the swamp, preying upon the unsuspecting travelers who ventured too close to the haunted shores of their domain and their former prestigious name, then became a curse, a whisper of dread that sent shivers down the spines of those who dared to speak it. The legend of the Glatchers grew, a chilling folk tale that echoed through the swamp's dense tapestry of moss and vines, and the very trees seemed to lean away from the accursed island, as if in silent protest of the abomination that dwelt within. And yet the mansion remained untouched by the ravages of time, floating serenely on the stagnant water, a grim reminder of the past that had been buried but never truly forgotten. In the later years, whispers grew into a cacophony that can no longer be ignored, and the townfolk gathered their courage to confront the horror that lie in wait, as one moonlit night a group of brave souls set forth, their hearts pounding in unison with the distant drums of fate, and approached this floating mansion of blood and death with torches in hand, their lights casting a dance of shadows upon the water surface. The mansion loomed before them, a towering specter of decay and despair, seemingly alive with malicious intent, as the air grew thick with the stench of death and the cries of the forsaken, and watched in horror as the shadows within the mansion's windows twisted and contorted into the forms of the lost souls that had suffered within its walls. Then the townsfolk, fueled by terror and righteous anger, set the mansion ablaze. The flames licking the night sky like the tongue of a fiery beast. Yet as if by the cruel whims of the gods themselves, the clouds then opened, and in a torrential downpour, they quenched the fiery wrath and left the mansion standing, a grim sentinel, scarred, but not vanquished by the fire. As the fires were put out, the real horrors of the Glatcher family were revealed, and the mansion became a forbidden place, erased from the maps of the living and spoken of only in the hushed whispers of the bravest of souls around the flickering embers of campfires and candlelit taverns. Yet the tale of the Glatchers does not end there, for on the quietest of nights, when the moon is full and the fog is thick enough to slice with a knife, it is said that the mansion of bones still rises from the murky waters, a specter of the past that refuses to die. The Glatcher mansion still standing today under one condition, that the travelers who dare to venture into the swamp keep their distance and respect the area and terrain, because no one knows exactly where the mansion is today. The maps of the bayou have been redrawn, the swamp itself seemingly shifting to keep the horrors of Howland Island hidden from the eyes of the curious. Yet the whispers persist of twisted figures that sulk in the shadows, their eyes gleaming with a hunger that can never be satisfied. And so the legend of Howland Island lives on, a grim folk tale that weaves through the fabric of the swamp, a reminder of the darker aspects of human nature, of the primal instincts that lurk just beneath the surface, waiting and waiting for the moment when the veneer of civilization is at its thinnest and the consequences of meddling with the natural order are laid bare. There are so many more legends about the Glatcher family for another time, but for now, let us leave the whispers of the swamps to those who dare to listen. And remember